Okay, hello. 11:23 p.m. Wednesday, September 12th, 2012. I just got up to the ninth. I got up to September, the fourth day of 12th of the year 2012, on answering the comments, so I'm almost there. It is getting quite late though. It's 11:23. I still need to spend some time on the taxes, but there's no. I can always go on Thursday, but I would prefer. I mean, tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah, so then I'll have to wait till the Tuesday to do it. So I prefer to just have it done. So I might have to stay up till about 3 a.m. in the morning. I get as much sleep as I need to and get there by 9 a.m. It's not a long drive. It should take about 30 minutes to get there. Um, something I wanted to say. This is going to be, I guess, a status update on things. I think I said this. I got the template back from Oliver. It looks terrific. I just hope they're going to be up to the task to actually do it and implement it. But the blueprint of it looks fantastic. I showed it to my friend Oleg, but I don't know, he had trouble understanding it. I mean, maybe he's not that type of person to understand blueprints, fundamental things. He said he preferred to see it as a final, I guess, a product, a finished product. But I don't know. I love blueprints. I love to see things as they are without this makeup, without. I would love to see my netbook without the casing and this fancy stuff, and just, I don't know, maybe that's just, people are different. People like to see different things. Though he is, he's spellbound by Apple products. Steve Jobs. He's the type of person that Steve Jobs spellbound into this, I guess, cell phone, electronic gadget phenomenon, phenomenon that is occurring in today's society, which is good and bad. There's some positives to it. There's some negatives to it. Um, I was just thinking though. Once I begin to have more things um, done, I guess, so to speak. I guess once I'm afraid that by the end of my once I begin my actual campaigning and going door to door, I fear that most people are gonna think of me as this Republican. I don't know, just the moment I was like, oh, I'm kind of feeling a little stressed out. I was like, well, let me listen to some music. What kind of music would I like to listen to? Oh, let me listen to some classical music. So I started listening to some classical music, and it was some Mozart and Beethoven. I was like, oh, like this traditional, like or at least the stereotype of this traditional upper member of the upper echelon of society, and listening to classical music and going, Walter, more caviar, please. Uh, I was listening to the classical music. At the same time, I'm still debating this idea. Should I wear this watch? Should I sell it? Should I keep it? Because that it was made by a craftsman. It was made by a watchmaker. In today's, because my family's involved with the jewelry business, a lot of today's jewelry is made in some godforsaken Chinese factory, and the average consumer could care less. Look, because they could afford it. Um, so because traditionally speaking, things such as jewelry is a luxury good, and we want to go back to the 1300, 1400 era, and things such as jewelry were primarily reserved to the monarchy and to the members of the monarchy or the particular oligarchy that existed at the time in the various regions of the world. Uh, though not in South America, gold was used as a type of makeup, costume makeup for the actual members of the society. It was popular for even the lowest member of the South American native tribes to wear gold jewelry. And then when the European colonists came over, obviously they confiscated all of it. But if you look into history, just the lowest member of the native, even possibly the Native American, but the native South American, Mexican region, they were gold because they were gold mines, and they found them, and they thought they could make little things for them, and they did that. They weren't like concerned about money. I mean, they had some sort of a currency system up through a change of bartering, but then the colonists came and they ruined everything, really. Not necessarily the American colonists, but just the idea of colonization. Uh, but I mean, in that sense, they were coming from from these respective great empires of the Europe. You had the English Empire, you had the French Empire, you have the Germanic and the Viking thing. I don't know too much about it, but in modern day Sweden, Norway, Finland, uh, Germany, Ireland. Uh, so there's a few things I wanted to share that I think they might have slipped my mind. And the reason I decided to do this video, because I'm almost near the completion of the answering the comments, is because the YouTube again flagged me because they might be considering me to be. I might have flagged the system because I'm answering all the comments, sending private messages. They might consider I'm some sort of a spam bot. It's like I have some mm, problems with YouTube, and not necessarily problems. I can work around them, but they are issues that hinder my ability to honestly manage my own YouTube channel more with better productivity and efficiency. I would like to one day be able to share that with the Google, but because it seems they don't, it seems such this vast empire. I would feel like such a little person. Hi, I just want to say I want to say some. I have a suggestion for you. You know, like something like that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I could send out they have a suggestion email, but I feel like if I send out my suggestion, it's gonna get lost. So there's just another YouTube channel. No, it's like I said, it's something that I could address later in my life. I just need to dedicate myself to it. Like I have the workarounds to it. Oh yeah, in terms of the YouTube, Jesus. I was just thinking to myself, now that they got the Google Plus, the limits are endless for somebody to honestly make a decent living doing all sorts of YouTube videos. You just simply have to kind of focus it down to a certain category or genre of video. But the potential is there. If somebody's looking for work and they spend a lot of time on the computer, it's perfect for them. Simply talking and giving commentary is a skill of itself. Teaching, explaining something is a skill of itself that it builds upon itself. Once you understand that teaching is a skill, talking is a skill, listening is a skill, processing information is a skill. Same thing as digesting information that most people would be more familiar with understanding that type of term, but I think processing information is the more correct form of referencing to that idea. Um, I have some, no, I wanted to share this. I have some doubts. Well, not necessarily doubts. I mean, everything is still in the planning phases, so I haven't really figured it out, but I have some doubts about my buddy Oleg. Just that, for the time being, I'm kind of relying on him as some sort of a, not necessarily a guiding factor, but as a certain, I don't know, like my number two in this whole endeavor. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like he takes it quite seriously. I don't know. I mean, he does have some issues in believing himself. I mean, he has fantastic confidence. Not necessarily. Well, yeah, I think he has great confidence, but self-esteem is a whole different thing. Believing in yourself, having conviction, and etc., etc., etc. I mean, he has some fantastic ideas about doing YouTube videos. I mean, he does YouTube videos with his partner, with his buddy, whenever they find the time because they're swamped with work. But it's the typical 9 to 5 job, which is I don't see it as such a overwhelming endeavor in a person's life that they have a 9 to 5 job. It's quite simple, actually. It's quite organized, and if you work for somebody, it's very simple. If they tell you what to do and you do it, it's actually much more complicated to do things by yourself, for yourself, and then be considering about, at some point, someone else is going to be working for you, and you're going to be paying them a certain amount of money, and you're going to be, responsible for maintaining the welfare of their family. Um, those are a little bit more complicated things in life. I don't know. Not to discredit anybody working for somebody. That's very important in terms of growth and understanding it. But and so, I mean, even with what I'm doing, I'm not necessarily going to be working for myself. I have a duty and responsibility to the people who are going to be electing me. So they're going to be my employer, and I was going to just summarize, like, a lot of this is just like this extravagant this extravagant process, so an interviewing process. It's quite simple for me to print out a resume and then go visit businesses, sit down for 5 minutes, but just if well, I can't. Besides my hands, at the time being, I don't have anything besides some of the writings that I have here. But quite, it's not even the beginning of what that needs to come out of my head. That I'm hope if you combine everything that I've currently said and kind of not necessarily in this video, but the past videos, all the past videos that were all the what has been said in the past videos. And just to give somebody an explainer, I was talking to a buddy from Sweden. Because I say the General Assembly, maybe some people might understand this. Basically, I'm going to be running for a position in the state government on the legislative body. Most governments, or at least most people, I think, would know that in their country or in their government, there's a legislative body. So you have a body of, let's say, 30, 40, 80, 100 people, and they, amongst themselves, decide the policy, the law, the regulation. And when they concluded on that certain part, the process, the legislative body is usually a two-body system. There's one body, and then there's a second body. And then it goes to the second body, and then they do what they need to do, and then it goes up to the executive branch of government. In this case, it would be the governor of the state of New Jersey, or on the federal level, it would be the president, and then he signs it, and if he signs it, it becomes a law, and if he says something is wrong with it or doesn't want to sign it, it goes back to the legislative body, and there's another vote, and this time it just simply requires the more people to vote on it for yes, then was their requirement for it to go through the two bodies of the legislative body for the governor to sign, or somebody from the executive branch to sign. There's some of these things would be the requirement of my responsibility on the state level to argue for, debate, etc. And these are just some basic ideas. Unfortunately, some of the things I might have shared with you, they're going to be presented in a much more comprehensive manner, so to speak, that I just simply can't even begin. I mean, and some of the ideas are the requirements of the local and county governments to solve, and because of their incompetence and the lack of competent people in government, or direction. Simply, maybe it could be just a simple leadership issue. There's just simply nobody trying to unite everybody, as opposed to everybody seems to be dividing everybody. People, the idea of a Democrat and Republican seems to be such a dividing concept of American society. I think if George Washington was there, he would simply just start a new government all over again based on the ideals. It's same thing with something like a police union. A police officer holds their allegiance to no other than the United States Constitution. If they have a union, that puts them in a compromising position. If the local government employs them, that puts them in a compromising situation. If a county government employs them, then it puts them in a compromising situation. And again, I don't hate to use the word employ, because I plan to refrain from using any of the words that are used in business today, simply because of the fact that a lot of people have misconceptions about government. They think it should run like a business. No. Because if it runs like a business, then one of their primary concerns is raising money or generating profit or revenue. And the government should not be in a concern about raising revenue or what is there is what is there, and that's what you have to work with. It needs to be the mentality. I got in touch with my. I signed up for Google Plus. I haven't really begun looking, just examining what it is exactly. I just know some ideas of it that I saw through commercials. I haven't really sat down and had the time to examine all of it. But so I added a few people that it suggested me to add. One of the people I added was, I guess, an ex-friend, an ex-partner of the last business that I was working on, he was working on, we were working on. And he messaged me what's up, so I wrote him like a 2-page response. I don't know if he's going to answer me. It would be nice because there's some things I would like to learn from him. Because he's, I don't know if he's still in business. I asked him, but just I think he's a competent business leader. So some of the things I would like to ask him would be to the benefit of my campaign, as I'm going to have to be organizing and managing people, delegating things, and then all the skills and all the information that would result of learning and of benefit to me and my brain are going to be executed, obviously, when when I hold the office, because I will have a staff salary. And then I found out I can still have my campaign functional when elected, and if there's money, I could keep people employed, using the money in the campaign to help me serve the functions of my office objectives, on top of receiving the set salary for staff. And I'm curious if my staff would get health insurance as well. I don't know. I know I get health insurance, which is good, I guess. It's positive. I don't have health insurance. It sucks. I think, one of the things I, for myself, do is simply investigate this little thing I have here. I've had this problem on my wrist for, I don't know, 10 years of my life. I haven't really. I tried once to see a doctor when I was working, when I needed to see a physician at the college I was attending to. I was taking like a physical education class, but there was going to be a requirement to do some exercises. And in order to sign up for it, I needed to get a pass from a physician to make sure that, like, that I'm physically capable to do some certain things. And I brought up the issue, and that was paid by the school, the college I was going to. I think I might have paid like $20 or $30. And there's this thing you do when you go see a doctor, even though you have insurance, is you pay some sort of small fee, and then the health insurance takes the bulk of the cost. I don't know. It's quite silly nonsense to me, but that's what people deal with today. Or that's what people just put up with. I don't know why, but they do. So I brought it up with him, but he was quite unsure on what it is, and he knew that it required a specialist and some tests, and maybe he understood that I was there. I didn't have health insurance or anything like that, so he didn't tell me that. And I think that's one of the hardest things in today's society for a doctor to do, is they know that there is some treatment and there is some sort of other doctor that could solve their medical problem, but they can't tell him that because the person's not going to be able to afford it. It's hard. That's why they usually have this health insurance consultant or whatever that speaks with you and the doctor at the exact same time. And it's hard for a doctor to think to I don't know, to eventually carry. Because I mean, they can't. I mean, I mean, they take an oath. I mean, this is they don't. They take an oath. Doctors don't become doctors for the money. I mean, they're generously. Uh, I think for the most part, society generously rewards them, and I think that's excellent. Doctors should be generously rewarded, uh, even in on like a government run healthcare system. Not, I can't even say government run healthcare system. The citizens run healthcare system because the citizen puts the money. I'll just stop there. I don't want to confuse people, and it's just such a nonsense system we have with the healthcare. Um, they put it in. Mm, so, so that's hard. I think. I think I lost the train. I lost my train of thought. So I think that's hard for a doctor. At the same time, I don't know. It might not be because there's so much that a doctor needs to do and does that it just simply might slip through the cracks. That emotional, that moment to think about it on an emotional level, and I guess on a logical level and a reasonable level. But I think a doctor focuses mechanically on medical issues. I think that's the way that they see the world. They see they see a human being. They see a body. They see a heart. They see lungs. They see a cigarette. They see the smoke entering the lungs. They see it destroying the lungs. They see the cancer spread. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still smoking. I fucked up, I guess, with the smoking. Um, oh, I have another concern about my hair. As you can see, this is how my hair is. It's kind of like emo. Not, not like this, but it looks kind of flimsy. Looks very stupid. And that the only reason being is because it's not long enough the way I want it to be. I just want to go like this, and maybe have some hair down to here, like here, reasonable. Just have it hang out for the most part, and I need to, I guess, look professional. I just put up a ponytail, or I don't know, even letting it hang out like that, maybe to a certain degree, if I have it cut in a certain way. Assuming I ever find a competent, what is it, a hairstylist or a barber, I don't know. I've never found a competent one. As far as as far as my experience with every single person that cuts hair, I give them money, they do something, and then I leave unhappy, and I leave thinking that they're incompetent and they don't care, and I'm sad and etc. So that's just that's been my experience with that. And even then, they have some books and they have some pictures of people with different hairs. But no, I don't want to look like somebody else has the way I have my hair. I want to look different. That so that's very hard, I guess, to do. And I guess, well, I guess you know what? In all honesty, that might be the separation between a great hairstylist, a great barber, and just another barber, another stylist. Because if they can't do that, if they can't turn my hair into this great thing, it's just another, like just with any a job or any business or any organization or campaign, so to speak, I guess, in my regards. Um, I guess, or in life, let's say, it's the difference between being like, yeah, yeah, okay, 5 o'clock, it's time to go home. I'm not going to be working here for 5 minutes and not getting paid. Or I'll stop it there. Though, I mean, it's again, it's all based on the best of your judgment, but in all different varying degrees of whenever it's all subject to your own personal interpretation when you work for somebody or when you do something, and the amount of time that you commit yourself, and if your efforts are, I guess, recognized. It's one thing if you work all the time for somebody and they never really recognize that you're always working all the time. That's quite a shame. I think that happens way too often in today's society, where employers or businesses might neglect the amount of work that the employee might be doing. They're doing a lot of work because there's that employee who does very little work, and he stands out more than the person who's working, and then the employer or the business owner is like, oh, all the employees are like this. And that's that typical, unfortunately, just part of the way we think about things. If we have one negative if I have one negative experience with a business, I'm not going to be doing business with them. I'm going to be going to a different business if there's another one that exists that is going to be satisfying my needs and my wants. So, if there was another thing, if there was another, I guess, like a Google, that where I didn't have these small issues that I have with Google, I will probably be using that other business. And I think that's the fundamental. I think that's part. I mean, the part of the fundamental thinking behind this idea of competition. What good does competition bring to society? Well, this is it. It brings things to a higher standard, and that's where communism, I guess, the idea of communism or flat out, mm, yeah, see, socialism is not communism, but the flat out idea of communism, that's where it falls on. That's where it falls apart, is because things will never get, things will not necessarily, I guess, money is an incentive to do better, but it's not the driving force. But it is part of it. Um, like think of a man called William Gates or Bill Gates. I'm not sure if he's still the richest man in the world because he's given up. He's donated so much money to his Gates Foundation to serve some of the basic needs of the people around the world, that are the needs that are not being met. Simply food. People just don't have a place to even eat. If I'm starving, and if it comes to that, I can simply go to a garbage can anywhere around here, and I can have a feast because people throw away so much stuff. Um, there was a thing that the news media picked up. There was like a group of college kids. They saw that the homeless people were getting fed this nonsense food at the shelters, and it was just unhealthy, and that they were starving. So they decided to go to the garbage can of a supermarket, and what they found was that they were discarding still packaged breads, still packaged meats. Meats were iffy. Still packaged all these various products simply because they expired. But there's a reason for that. But when a person is homeless, I mean, are they going to be concerned that like the bread that they're going to eat has been expired for 12 hours? Because by law, the supermarket must discard this stuff. And unfortunately, it's somewhat of I guess, an ugly or uncomfortable business to be sifting through the garbage. But they did that for the benefit of their community. They didn't need to do that for themselves, and they shared it. That at some point they actually began to eat off the food because they realized that it was pretty good food. It was supermarket food. It was just simply expired by 1 or 2 days, and the law has to, that's why that's why they threw them out, because the law says that. Um, I'm actually curious. I want to check it out for my own personal interest. I want to see if I can. Must be very interesting. If I can, I'm gonna try it someday, maybe soon. Just out of my own personal curiosity. And then 1 week later, I'm gonna be making YouTube videos about it, eating the food at the same time. uh, Okay. So I hope that I hear back from my buddy from the other part of the world. Um, Cause yeah, he showed me some. He gave me some. He shared me some information about his operation of his business, and it's pretty interesting. In terms of, he showed me all these flowcharts of how he manages all the people who work for him. And he had a director for marketing, a director for sales, and then it sub branches into different categories where eventually it comes down to the person, like the intern or the lowly employee of his business. Um, yeah, I'm afraid. I have a lot of, like, I don't know, maybe I've been lucky, or I guess through my family, or just living. I mean, there's some people I know just out of my own accord of living that I've met and bumped into. Um, they're extraordinarily wealthy, and we connected on this in whatever ways. So I'm afraid to be discouraged. I mean, I'm afraid to be regarded as this, like, Republican, or this or this upper member of the or this member of this upper echelon of society. I guess I'm not using echelon. I'll figure out how to spell it. Echelon. Basically like a member of the upper class. Not necessarily, not really. I mean, not tremendous amount of that, but I'm in reasonable amount of that. And there's no reason for me to be in that. But I mean, there is, but it's because just, just things need to be done. Anyways, I'm gonna end it here, and I'm just gonna see if I can get myself some food. Um, hmm. If somebody just kind of doesn't necessarily understand everything that I say in terms of the government, um, and you want to kind of help out, I'm gonna need to sift through my YouTube channel and just simply remove certain videos. Not all the videos. I mean, there's some compromising videos that I have, but I'm not necessarily concerned about them because of it's my constitutional amendment right. Number one, the freedom of expression, and the way I express and the way I see the world is my own thing, and no one can ever take that away from me. They can discredit me, obviously, but it's my fundamental thing. I'm not concerned about me getting discredited. I'm concerned about, there's some videos that might not serve a purpose at all, because I mean, I think I might have some videos where I'm just simply sitting there listening to music, not saying a single word, because I don't know, I'm just in this emotional dysfunction, I guess. I mean, I didn't even know how to even begin to articulate how I was feeling. Um, so I think I had some, I don't know, maybe everybody has this, or maybe it was, I don't know. So I'm just concerned about them having no function to myself. So I guess, so well, they might have served that function. Hmm. I'm not even sure if that's necessary. No, but I guess it is necessary. I mean, I know I have some videos where I'm smoking marijuana. That's nothing. I mean, it's not a positive message that I'm sending to the youth, to the young people, certainly. But it was my freedom of expression. I mean, it was under my freedom of expression, as it was simply a way for me to express myself at the relevant moment that I was doing that. I mean, I have some really cool photos of marijuana I stored that was going to be part of my campaign, because education is number one. Ugh. So that's my hair right now. Okay, I'm gonna go. So yeah, if you want to do that, just sift through a couple of years back. Just I don't know. I might need to do it myself though. Oh, one of the things I need to do, I didn't share that at all though. I still need to go back and finish my organizing of the Han videos because I created on the Han forums like a topic solely dedicated to myself. I'm part of their forums of I guess contributors to the Han community in whatever way. And I still want to organize it and just have like when you go to the certain forum and the topic of the forum, you just have a list of the videos and a little description and just the dates. I want to have it fully complete based on all the videos, all the HANA videos I currently have. I think I still have maybe 20 or 30% of the way to go left, uh, because and I guess in terms of I would like to seek some financial assistance from S2 Gaming, or at least the employees of the company through my campaign website, because they are residents and citizens of the United States, and I think they will be able to relate with a lot of my stuff because I imagine them to be educated and competent people, and they would see that, I mean, of course, I'll be solving the issues of New Jersey, but we just simply need. But I am contributing, and I will be contributing to and assisting people, young people or whatever, uh, getting themselves elected into office because we simply just on the every level, especially in our state, but in all states, we need, in the federal government, obviously, we need competent people that are maybe they you simply that kind of have an understanding of what's happening because the people we have there are just simply I can't even say if they're archaic in their thought process, or they might simply be just living in their own worlds, like unaware of what they're doing. The, so I'm very confident that I'll be able to get some assistance for them uh, through financial assistance, and then not to mention maybe I could use their forums to raise more financial assistance, to the very least, at least raise the awareness level to the younger members of our society that are not necessarily conscious of what's happening, and that's very bad because they're the ones who are going to be living in this once they realize what's happening. And I think they might just be simply consumed by all the entertainment that's available. And, you know, or to the very least, let some of the members of the Han community know that, hey, I exist and this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm starting out, this is how extraordinarily handicapped my life has been, but look at what I'm doing. What's your excuse? Just that kind of attitude, I guess, not necessarily like, oh, what's your excuse? You can't be forcing people or putting themselves in this compromising situation because you have all these fantastic things to be able to do when you're a citizen, but when you understanding the role of government, fundamentally going into government is going to be this. It's going to be detrimental to your lifestyle. It's going to be detrimental to your love life, your family life. It's an extraordinary service of duty that needs to be, that will be, need, that, that is, yeah, I guess I'll stop there. I'm getting quite tired of my thought process. I still need to sift through some of the numbers and examine the profits, losses, revenue of the two businesses. Um, Not to mention some of the opportunities I had as self-employment. I plan to be quite honest with the IRS, despite the popular belief is that you tell them as little as you possibly need to tell them. No, because a lot of it's a two-pronged. There's two reasons why I will be as honest as possible. And one is because I plan to share all the work opportunities I've had and I've worked on up to this point, which is extraordinarily long in comparison to the average person. Uh, at the same time, there's no reason to lie. I mean, this is very important. I mean, this is the taxes are quite important, but they're not of that but it's important to have, how does the government pay? Government has functions, you know, that need to be. It's hard for. I'm too tired to go into all of this right now. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep a. I wanted to do a simple YouTube video, and they're becoming such a complicated. This. Okay, I will go. Thank you if you've been watching up to this point. Have a great day.